Super Mario 64 was a dream for me in 1996, and I don't mean that as a metaphor. I literally dreamed about it. Today, its status as a classic is unquestionable, but time has a way of erasing uncertainty. Back then, nobody knew whether that leap into 3D would actually work. So, if the game was a gamble for the industry, why did it already feel like a conviction every time I laid my head on the pillow? I'm convinced it wasn't because of the graphics or the technology. There was something about that castle and those paintings that stayed with me, making me want to return. Today, I believe Mario 64 didn't change video games simply because it successfully brought a 2D franchise into 3D and established countless design standards. It changed video games because it understood something way more captivating. There was a noticeable detail about this game's development. Before almost anything else, Shigeru Miyamoto spent months refining nothing but Mario's movement inside an almost empty environment. He believed that in this new kind of game, the character had to feel responsive, expressive, and fun to control. The level design, the enemies, and everything else came later, once Mario himself felt right. Looking back, that may have been the single most important development decision. The game didn't just need to be fun while you were chasing another power star. It had to become fun the moment that unusual Nintendo 64 controller was placed in your hands. It's like riding a bicycle. The destination matters, but what you really want is to keep pedaling. Controlling Mario creates exactly that feeling. The triple jump, the backflip, the dive, the wall kick, the long jump. Every movement is entertaining in its own right. And there's another, more subtle detail. Mario doesn't look like a traditional hero. He's short, stocky, mustached, almost cartoonishly ordinary, and yet he moves with the confidence and grace of an Olympic gymnast. That contrast makes everything even more fascinating, the extraordinary emerging from the ordinary. Our plumber looks like a simple man accomplishing something impossible that makes the fantasy feel surprisingly accessible. There is another clever mechanism at work as well. Mario 64 rarely punishes failure in a cruel way. Miss a jump and Mario slips, rolls down a hill, runs around awkwardly with his backside on fire, or falls screaming from a cliff. Frustration is still there, of course, but is softened by humor. The game reduces the anxiety of taking action. It seems to say, go ahead, because even when you fail, you're still having fun. Most games have a menu. Mario 64 has a home. After every adventure, we return to the castle through the very same painting we entered. Mario might leap out gracefully after finding a power star, or tumble back onto the floor after failing. Either way, the familiar music returns. You're free to wander the halls, greet the scattered toads. There is no urgency. You can simply enjoy a welcoming place and take as much time as you need before setting off again. It's also curious how the castle feels both enormous and strangely empty. That combination creates an unusual feeling, a peculiarly comforting kind of solitude, almost like exploring your school on a quiet weekend. Suddenly, a place usually associated with movement and noise feels completely different. There was silence, even a touch of mystery, but never danger. The castle works as a kind of psychological decompression zone. Between one adventure and the next, we come back to breathe. It's interesting to compare this to the safe rooms in Resident Evil. Both temporarily interrupt tension. But while Resident Evil offers relief after horror, Mario offers calm before curiosity. And the castle never serves merely as a hallway between levels. It rewards exploration itself. After all, there are 15 hidden power stars, fake walls, secret passages, a painted sun on the ceiling. The main hub was never just a sophisticated menu. It feels like a living ecosystem. That probably explains why it becomes so iconic, returning in later Mario games with surprisingly few changes. I didn't even own a Nintendo 64 at the time. I played it at a friend's house, and yet something about that castle found its way into my subconscious. It wasn't simply a place to pass through, it was a place worth appreciating. Thinking about it now, I see another elegant metaphor hidden inside it. As we collect more power stars, new doors begin to open. New places become accessible. Growth is never represented through greater strength or by unlocking new skills. Instead, it's represented through access. Part of growing up works exactly the same way. As children, countless doors remain closed to us. Over time, some of them begin to open, not because of something we suddenly possess, but because of something we've done. Few mechanics are as symbolic as entering a level through a painting. We leave behind the solid structure of the castle, the ordered reality we understand, and leap into the fluidity of a painting where imagination has no fixed boundaries. During childhood, the exchange happens every day. A child's imagination often seems to use fantasy to make sense of reality, but perhaps reality is actually where imagination begins. A cardboard box becomes a castle, a couch becomes a horse. In many ways, Mario 64 is built around that very idea. A painting that would normally be admired becomes a doorway. Something that looked like an average object suddenly hides an entire world. The ordinary becomes a promise. And the game quietly teaches us exactly that seemingly usual things can hide something extraordinary. Whether it's a stocky little plumber performing impossible acrobatics or a wall that leads to an Egyptian desert. And through it all, you always know you can return to the castle, like coming home after another adventure. 30 years later, Mario 64 is remembered for more than its historical importance. Its ideas still resonate because they speak to timeless aspects of human psychology. Maybe I dream about this game because my mind kept exploring the castle long after the console had been turned off. Mario occupied my thoughts, yet always left enough room for my imagination to do its own work. The game opened enough possibilities to keep existing beyond the television screen. For those who played it, those memories remain in that special corner of the mind reserved for things that are never truly forgotten. Nintendo created a landmark for many reasons, but for me, Its greatest achievement was understanding how the human mind loves to explore a space. They built a world where exploration wasn't simply safe, it was something you wanted to do from Mario's very first steps and his very first jump. What makes Mario 64 special for you? Let me know. If you like this, please hit the like button. If you want more, check my other videos and subscribe. There's new content every Wednesday. I'm Charles, and I truly appreciate your time.